Blake Lively has dazzled audiences for years with her roles in high-profile films and TV shows. But beneath the polished red carpet appearances lies a series of controversies so startling that many fans don't even know half of them. From lawsuits served at the worst possible time to shocking comments that left co-stars reeling, these moments tell a very different story from the perfect Hollywood image. My name is Sophia Reed, and today we're counting down the top 10 most unhinged Blake Lively moments that ended in lawsuits, and so much more. Stay tuned, because each reveal is more surprising than the last. Rumors of tension on set between Blake and producer Jamie Heath blew up when she allegedly took offense at something most people consider normal: making eye contact. According to reports, Blake was in her trailer having makeup removed while breastfeeding, though not fully exposed. When Jamie came in, he apologized and offered to come back later, but she insisted they continue the meeting right then. 2 weeks later, she confronted him for looking her way. During that conversation, Jamie reportedly apologized, but Blake's reaction was explosive. Some saw this as racially charged, pointing out that for centuries, Black men were brutally punished for merely looking at white women in certain places. The controversy reached a boiling point when she mentioned it again in legal documents, fueling even more suspicions about her motives. If it was a misunderstanding, it certainly didn't look that way to fans following the story, but that was just the beginning of the fallout around Blake's behavior. As if the eye contact drama wasn't enough, Blake's wedding location sparked another uproar. She chose to hold her wedding on a historic plantation, a place once used to oppress Black people. Critics immediately pointed out the insensitivity of glamorizing a site with such a painful past. When asked about it in interviews, Blake tried to downplay the controversy, but many found her responses dismissive. For someone who'd already stirred talk about race, this wedding choice felt like another baffling decision. It also reignited debate on how Hollywood stars should be more mindful about the symbolism behind the venues they choose for important events. The issue would resurface in later confrontations and lawsuits, forming a pattern that kept adding to her critics' arguments. A jaw-dropping anecdote Blake once shared involved darkening her skin to follow a crush. As a teenager, she said she put on bronzer and wore a scary spice wig, hoping the boys she liked wouldn't recognize her. While she laughed it off, the revelation hit a nerve, especially when viewed alongside her plantation wedding and the eye contact controversy. Years later, fans and critics alike questioned how such a story could have been told so casually, particularly in an era when discussions about cultural appropriation are front and center. Some tried to give her a pass for being young at the time, but many were uncomfortable with how nonchalant she seemed about the entire thing, even in retrospect. Little did people know, there were even more strange moments from Blake. Blake Lively shot to stardom as Serena Vanderwoodson on Gossip Girl, but off-screen drama threatened to overshadow her success. Reports surfaced that she and co-star Leighton Meester had a strained relationship. Tensions escalated during a particular press tour when Blake allegedly made derogatory jokes, including references to monkeys, and directly mocked Leighton's family background. Leighton was famously born while her mother was serving time, and Blake's quips about starting life in a cage were seen by many as deeply insensitive. In another moment, Blake even joked that blondes are nicer, a bizarre comment that felt pointed since Leighton was naturally blonde but dyed her hair for the show. This ugly feud became a hot topic, leaving fans of Gossip Girl stunned that life behind the scenes was so far from the glamorous image on screen. When legal battles started swirling, Blake reportedly compared herself to Daenerys Targaryen, using the infamous Mother of Dragons trope to claim she could summon powerful defenders at will. She hinted that her husband Ryan Reynolds and close friend Taylor Swift were her dragons, ready to breathe fire on her behalf. Fans and critics alike found this comparison downright cringeworthy. If she was referencing Game of Thrones, it's worth noting Daenerys' story took a dark turn, ultimately leading to a disastrous ending. Observers couldn't help but note the irony. By invoking Dany, Blake might have been spoiling her own fate, foreshadowing that this battle wouldn't end as triumphantly as she believed. But her references to fantasy worlds were minor compared to some of her real-life revelations. During an interview, Blake dropped a startling line. She claimed she was late because she'd lost her mother, who was supposed to be in Boston, but somehow ended up in Barcelona. It seemed like a flippant comment, and she even joked that her mother's phone was lost, too. The entire anecdote was bizarre, especially when it came off as an excuse for why she was behind schedule. Many brushed it off as a random attempt at humor, but combined with everything else, It painted a picture of someone who frequently said things that baffled her audience. Whether it was a harmless joke or another sign of unhinged chatter, it had fans scratching their heads yet again, wondering why these strange remarks kept piling up. One of the more shocking revelations involved co-star Justin Baldoni. Blake allegedly pressured him to consider getting rhinoplasty, suggesting he fix his nose for aesthetic reasons. In most Hollywood circles, cosmetic procedures are deeply personal choices, and pointing it out uninvited is frowned upon. To make matters worse, Justin had been dealing with serious back issues and was cautious about on-set stunts. Rather than focusing on a person's health, critics say Blake zeroed in on physical features that didn't match her vision. The entire conversation was reportedly caught on camera, later surfacing as evidence. It's no wonder fans were stunned at the insensitivity, especially since she was also accusing others of crossing her boundaries. If timing is everything, this incident showed just how off-balance Blake's approach could be. Justin Baldoni was in the middle of evacuating his family during a raging wildfire in Los Angeles. Properties were in danger, and people were scrambling to pack up pets, kids, and valuables. That's precisely when Blake's team allegedly showed up to serve him with legal paperwork. Critics pointed out how cold and calculated it seemed to chase someone down during a crisis. The optics were terrible. While neighbors were busy surviving a natural disaster, Blake's messengers were determined to push her lawsuit forward. For many, it was the final straw, revealing a level of ruthlessness that contradicted her usual image as a charming Hollywood sweetheart. Blake's involvement in adapting the novel It Ends With Us sparked anticipation until fans noticed something unsettling. Prior to her casting, it had been decided that a percentage of the film's proceeds would benefit organizations supporting survivors of DV. Yet once Blake came on board, some reported she wasn't willing to meet with relevant advocacy groups to understand the real-life experiences behind the story. Her promotional efforts also seemed off-key, focusing more on style, floral outfits, and lighthearted chatter rather than the book's sensitive themes. Critics felt she was glossing over the core issue, using the film primarily as another platform to boost her celebrity brand. This mismatch between content and promotion left a sour taste, especially for readers who valued the novel's powerful message. Perhaps the wildest rumor, and the one that could fracture even Hollywood's tightest friendships, involves Blake reportedly covering up a cheating scandal. For decades, Hugh Jackman was married to Deborah Lee Furness until a public split in 2023. Soon afterward, he was romantically linked to Sutton Foster. Insiders claimed Blake and her husband Ryan Reynolds had known about Hugh's connection with Sutton Foster but kept quiet, even feigning support for Deborah Lee. People close to Deborah Lee said she felt utterly betrayed, having believed the couples were all genuine friends. The rumor that Blake deliberately helped keep the affair under wraps only fueled the narrative of her being willing to do anything to protect her inner circle, no matter who got hurt in the process. From accidental eye contact controversies to ignoring entire social movements, Blake Lively's biggest scandals suggest there's more than meets the eye behind her seemingly flawless public persona. Some still defend her, saying these incidents are misunderstandings or taken out of context. But others argue that when the same patterns keep popping up, insensitivity, questionable timing, and offhand remarks, it's no longer coincidence. At the end of the day, Hollywood thrives on reinvention. Whether Blake attempts a public apology tour, continues to shrug off criticism, or somehow manages to rebrand herself yet again remains to be seen. One thing's for certain, these 10 moments have shattered the illusions of perfection, leaving fans and critics alike to wonder just how many more unhinged stories are waiting to surface. Are these stumbles just part of the chaotic world of fame, or does Blake Lively have a much bigger reckoning ahead? Only time will tell.